My name is Mark Allison, detective. Virginia McCullough's story of haunted houses and stairs remains one of the strangest cases I've ever worked on, even though I have seen the dark side of humanity many times before. It started in a sleepy Essex neighborhood, but spread further than anyone could have imagined. Although Virginia McCullough's case was unusual, but she is not the first offender to cheat, manipulate, or murder more than 4 years after the 36-year-old murdered her parents John and Lois McCullough at Pump Hill in Great Baddow. W. Essex in June 2019, she lives next to their bodies, wearing an intricate mask of normalcy. Even experienced investigators were shocked when their bodies were discovered. September 15, 2023, was when Essex police entered the McCullough family home with superhuman confidence. Virginia welcomes officials and recognizes that, "I knew it would come eventually. It's fitting that he punished me." Essex police arrived. What they discovered was gruesome. Lois's body was wrapped in a sleeping bag in an upstairs closet, and John's body was buried in a makeshift cinder block cemetery in a downstairs bedroom. The VA's deception deceived her parents' doctors, family, and friends. Using the COVID-19 pandemic as an excuse, she canceled a family gathering and said her parents were sick or traveling. She even impersonates them on the phone and sends them pre-printed birthday cards to maintain the illusion. The facade is both scary and eerie. The motive? Currency. With online shopping and gambling, Virginia has accumulated a large debt. She also stole money from her parents' accounts and received their pension after their death. When the truth appears, she withdrew nearly $500,000. This is where things got worse. Twisted by a stranger, I was tasked with gathering additional evidence during the investigation, such as VA's work history. One place that stood out was the vintage clothing store where she worked briefly in her early 20s. The shop has a dark reputation and is located in a trendy high street. It appears that Virginia had told a coworker about the strange experience. Her assistant there was Emma Reed, her assistant manager at the time. Tell a worrying story, Emma, who turns off the shop's music in the evening and is responsible for closing the shop every evening. Footsteps were heard in the stairwell, and it was said that the sharp, deliberate footsteps were still there at 5:35 p.m., even though the stairs were carpeted. But it sounded like someone was walking on an old piece of wood. "Wear leather shoes. At first I thought I was imagining it," Emma told me. But it was happening. One day I went to check, there was no one there. To put it simply, messy. Ever the storyteller, Virginia added her own twist when it happened during the silent transformation. "The store has a mezzanine that was once a private residence," she said. The words, she guessed, were the footsteps of the longtime store owner who had resumed his daily routine of walking downstairs to open the shop in the morning and come back upstairs in the evening. She remarked with an almost wistful smile, "Maybe he was just expecting his tea." After reading these stories, I just couldn't get rid of the idea that Virginia had some weird relationship with magic. She hints at deeper psychological complexity in the way she tells stories, both imaginary and real. Did she invent a haunted staircase to distract from her dark nature? Or so Emma believed. Was it really a supernatural event? Virginia's crimes are ultimately motivated by greed and desperation. Financial hardship and her inability to accept the consequences of her actions intensified her manipulative tendencies. They were diagnosed in addition to personality disorders and autism. Her unsettling fascination with death in a parental murder or the spectral footprints of a long-forgotten shopkeeper portends something more sinister. At 11, he receives a life sentence, with a prison sentence of not less than 36 years. Judge Jeremy Johnson's comments were harsh. "Your parents have a right to feel safe in their own home, away from daughter. You violated their trust in the most bizarre way imaginable, like a haunted shop. Is it a mystery, or is Emma claiming the ghost is gone? The job is done." Even some simple facades stay with you for the rest of your life. One of them is that the web is a lie, and the dangerous relationship between the living and humans. Dead people can be dark too, like our lies, as frightening as the sound of footsteps when no one is around. If I learned anything, The year that changed everything for me started in January 2024, and my name is Patrick O'Hara. It all started with a letter from my partner's son, Thomas Kwan, which seems innocent at first. At first, I thought too little. He lives with us, and our relationship is sincere enough. However, this letter, I should have known already. It was no ordinary scream, but it was a faint whisper of something much darker. Thomas was always strange, but this letter was different. He spoke of his frustration with his mother. It was my partner, Jenny Leung, he said. She made false claims and stole money from him. But under those words, there was something deeper: resentment, fervor, and waiting to boil over. At the time, I didn't know that the seeds had been sown. Money, control, and the twisted belief that my presence threatened his future were slowly fading away and distort his mind. He's not just a doctor. He counted systematically. The more I think about it, the more I saw how it all came together. In the next few months, Thomas began secretly researching the poison. At first, I thought it was some weird hobby, but he was aware of his actions. He chose iodimethane. It is a substance so delicate and deadly that no one suspects it. The colorless, odorless poison is perfect for its intended purpose. He knew he could avoid it. Something else was wrong. Something was changing his mind. I didn't know this until it was too late. Looking back, I saw signs that were always present, but hidden beneath layers of belief. But on January 22, 2024, everything changed. It was a long night, one that shook me. The images that never go away keep coming back to me in recurring dreams. My garage was consumed by flames, the air was thick with smoke. It choked me as I ran away. I could feel the smell of smoke in my mouth when I woke up. Because dreams feel real and profound, I tried to shake it, but it stuck. I thought maybe I could clear up any remaining fear. So I went to the bathroom. But when I got back to my room, I froze. My heart stopped when I saw something through the branches of the tree outside the window. They glided in long, strange lines over the treetops, not in the sky. But there was a procession there, and there was no noise. The incredible procession of light moved at an agonizingly slow speed. I wondered if it was some kind of hallucination. I just woke up, and the dream still saw me. Still, the light seemed to send a message. They disappeared into thin air as they watched their hearts beat faster. I reached for my phone and wanted to take a photo. But as far as I'm concerned, the power has gone out. I felt only discomfort. Then I thought no more about it. Perhaps it was just a lingering dream. To my deepest gratitude, maybe it isn't. But that thought stayed with me. The light must mean something. I thought to myself, angling for a photo. One warning, a hunch. What I didn't know was that this was just the beginning. The knock on the door that afternoon would define the next chapter of my life. A man in a nurse's uniform was standing there. He introduced himself as Raj Patel, as the nurse sent to administer the COVID vaccine. With the epidemic raging at that time, I didn't think twice. There are medical personnel coming in and out of homes all over the country. I approached him without hesitation. But that decision was the beginning of my worst nightmare. He was Thomas Kwan Raj Patel. That same Thomas was sitting in my living room, playing the role of a worried son. That same man had been planning to kill me for months. He was calm and collected. He spoke to me like an old friend. I remember him checking my blood pressure, ask about my health. His presence was comforting as well. But then, he injected me. I felt it immediately. A stinging, burning sensation on my arm. At first, I believed this was a simple reaction to the vaccine, but the pain, this was different. The pain did not subside. Instead, it expanded and spread like wildfire. My arms swelled up to an unnatural shade of purple. It was the most excruciating pain I had ever experienced. I don't know what happened to me. I don't have a clue. At first, even the doctors didn't know about it. They were confused. They were trying to figure out what was causing the infection. And I remember them talking quietly. Later, they discovered the truth. Festering fasciitis, parasites that eat meat. There seemed to be something alive spreading throughout my body, consuming me from the inside out. And I don't know how it started. Meanwhile, Thomas Kwan waits in the shadows, believing his plan has succeeded. He believes he has succeeded. But cracks are beginning to appear. My partner Jenny noticed something in the distance. They have sold the farm. I've got to stay and see what's going on. She noticed that the visiting nurse looked very much like her son. A small detail, but enough to raise doubts. It didn't take long for the police to discover the truth. CCTV images, fake license plates, and fake ID cards. They all pointed at Thomas. His meticulous planning left a mark too clear to ignore. Upon his arrest, it became clear how betrayed he had been. His computer was full of shocking details, like research on toxins, murder investigation, how to evade detection. He finally realized one thing. Even though he believed he was untouchable, but he couldn't control the truth. When Kwan was arrested in October 2024, I irrevocably changed my life. My arm was badly damaged. Skin grafts, surgeries are happening all the time. But the psychological cost is much higher. Every time someone knocks on my door or I go to the doctor, I will think about what happened to me. There was panic. I feel like I'm being watched all the time. The world no longer feels safe. Betrayal seemed to lurk in every shadow. Kwan was sentenced to 31 years and 5 months in prison. But it didn't matter. The real loss has already occurred. My body, my faith, my relationship with Jenny, everything was shattered by the one person I thought I could trust. I can still imagine the lights on the trees that night. Is that a sign? A warning about something really? Or someone? I will never know. The darkness that Thomas Kwan unleashed in my life will always be there. The fear, the betrayal, the feeling of powerlessness. Those things will not disappear. They will be with you. This is my story, and in a way, it is coming to an end. And on the other hand, it is just the beginning, because nothing we do here has ever been done before. Camille,